Welcome back to another episode of 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. First, we come to Europe, where from the ashes of the Social Democrats Party in Germany, the previously fired finance minister was voted to lead the party at an internal party meeting on Sunday. From Reuters, quote, Robert Habeck, economic minister in the Social Democratic Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government, which collapsed 10 days ago, was anointed the party's candidate for the February 23rd election by 96% of delegates at the National Congress in Wiesbaden. His candidacy means he would be the party's nominee to head the government in the unlikely event the party comes from the 4th position in the opinion polls to win the election, or could become a senior minister of the Greens if the Greens become a junior coalition partner. Though the chances of their winning is small, the Social Democrats are looking to rebuild a coalition after their spectacular flare-out that unfolded on both TV and in the newspapers. Next to South America, where after months of being in jail, protesters and political opponents of Maduro have been released from their jail sentences. The current tally is around 107, though there are still more than 1,000 behind bars. From BBC, quote, Maduro is set to begin his third 6-year term in January. Official results for July's elections published by the National Electoral Council claimed Maduro, 61, won 52% of the vote to his opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez, who won 43%. The opposition, however, said that there was evidence that Gonzalez had won by a comfortable margin and uploaded detailed voting tallies to the internet, which suggests Gonzalez beat Maduro convincingly, end quote. Gonzalez is still sheltering in Spain due to fears of reprisals from the Maduro government. Next, we come to Africa, where in Senegal, their legislative election has seemingly come to a close after months of hard-fought campaigns had led to some worry about political violence. From Reuters, quote, the heated campaign period had revived concerns about unrest as political rivals clashed, sometimes violently. The West African nation saw some of the worst political violence in recent history ahead of the presidential election in March. And then we have a quote here from the town of Nagindo, quote, once again, I call on voters to show sincerity, to commit to a peaceful route, and to accept the popular will that will be expressed through the ballot box, end quote. And that was from one of the candidates who actually conceded. Quote, the leads were so insurmountable that both of the major party leaders of the opposition actually stepped down and conceded the race after the first day of tallying votes. To the west, in North America, there is a story of one family that has been recently brought back into the forefront after the criminal trial of the people who actually smuggled this family across the border, or attempt to have actually gone to trial in the United States. Quote from BBC, nearly 3 years after an Indian family of 4 froze to death in Canada during an ill-fated attempt to enter the U.S., 2 men are facing trial, accused of trying to help smuggle them across the border. Canadian police found the bodies of the Valdishan Patel, her husband, Jagdish, and their 2 children, 11-year-old Vinghida and 3-year-old Merk, in a Manitoba field just 12 meters or 39 feet from the U.S. border, end quote. Next, we come to China, where the economic pitch that has been going on throughout the country has begun to cause reverberations throughout its population. From Reuters, quote, Saturday's knife attack took place in Weizhou Vocational School of Arts and Technology in Yizheng. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of these. Part of the Weizhou city in the eastern province of Jiangsu. The suspect was a 20-year-old man and was arrested at the scene and confessed, police said. Also on Saturday, authorities in the southern Chinese city of Zhenghao said they had charged a 62-year-old man who they said rammed his car into a crowd outside a sports stadium, killing 35 people and injuring 43 on Monday night. The killings touched off a rare and healthy but heavily censored discussion online over mental health in China. Deeper stresses as the world's second largest economy slows, and whether young people will find themselves worse off than generations before them that benefited from China's rapid development. Finally, in New Zealand, we bring you an evolving story about protests that have taken hold of the island for the last 9 days. From BBC, quote, the grounds outside the Beehive, New Zealand's parliamentary building, are at capacity as police estimate there are more than 35,000 who are participating in the protests. The Maori Queen is there as are several MPs. This is the culmination of 9 days of the Hukai that started at the northernmost tip of the North Island. In the Sea of People, the Maui flags and signs talk about unity and love, as well as respect for the Te Triti, or the treaty, end quote. The link in this description will actually bring you live to a story that is being live updated as the protests continue on, and that's where you can get the most up-to-date information. If you want to check out any of the other stories from today, you can go down there. You can find all of them there. They're all linked specifically. They're in the order that they were presented. Also down there, you can find the link to the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Casts, and Podvine. You can listen to this on the RSS feed, the YouTube channel, or the podcast that comes out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And also you can go over to the Twitter handle @YourDailyFlip, where I post a Twitter tirade every Tuesday and Thursday. So with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe. Don't die.